Thank you, everybody. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for those of you that are on the East Coast. Please remember we're following the CNCF Code of Conduct. That's demonstrating empathy and kindness towards other people, being respectful of differing opinions, viewpoints, and experiences, giving and gracefully accepting constructive feedback, accepting responsibility and apologizing to those affected by our mistakes, and learning from the experience, and focusing on what is best, not just for us as individuals, but for the overall community. And please make sure to use welcoming and inclusive language. You know, people should feel excited about being here, and I'm really appreciative of everyone's time. So let's get the meeting started. To start out, does anybody want to introduce themselves? We'd love to hear a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you showed up for today if you are new. No new members today. Okay. Well done.
I think there is definitely some new faces, but feel free to type in the chat if you're uncomfortable jumping on the voice.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, then we can get right to the agenda. Matt, I think you put in one, right?
I just chucked in Notebooks 2.0 because I'm just trying to figure out, is this under your new definition of the community one, or is this under your new definition of the
contribute? I think the semantics don't matter that much. I would probably put this under leads, but like that's
yeah. I mean, I'm not specifically asking for. I just want to just give everyone updates because it keeps bringing more people to the contributor meetings. So I'm just like, I just want to always highlight it because it seems to be working. Let me just copy and paste this in here. Okay, from last meeting. Okay, so pretty much just same as last time. We're still working on Notebooks 2.0. It's not going to be in the next release, but it is. We do meetings every Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Now we've got just a truly insane amount of people working on it. So at the moment we are looking for more experienced people. Like, so if you're kind of a newer contributor to Go and other things, it's probably not the right time to join. But you're welcome to join the meetings and see what we do. But they are very, they have to be kind of structured at this point because we've got nearly 35 people working on it. So effectively, if you're a Go developer that has experience with controllers, or a Go developer who's got experience with REST APIs that especially interact with Kubernetes, or a front-end developer, please join us. Notebooks 2.0 is the next version of Notebooks. It will be replacing Notebooks. What it does is it gives the admin a lot more control and the users a lot more control about how it spawns notebooks. You can read through the FAQ on this issue here, 1756. You don't have to open it, just read through it. Other than that, happy to answer any questions anyone might have about notebooks right now, or just we'll move on to whatever's got next on the agenda. Cool.
Awesome.
I just put the demo thing here because I just want to highlight this PR. Is that okay, Francisco, or do you want to do that another time later?
No, this is fine.
Because I want to get feedback to make sure that, because it's such a big PR and it affects the branding of the website a lot, and I think it will affect users as well. So you feel free to So open up the preview. Yeah, that's probably the easiest. Yeah. So effectively, what happens is, have you got a dark reader turned on, by the way, on your actual browser?
I do not. I mean, I have one, but I turned it off.
You just turned it off, yeah, cool. Okay,
so effectively, my settings are dark, which is why.
So effectively what happens is, the proposal I'm making is that the default behavior, the front web page of the website has been updated a little bit to work better with dark and light mode, because otherwise, like for example, the backgrounds of the cards need to have a color, otherwise they look really weird on a dark background and things like that. And so what happens is it tries to follow your default computer's dark light mode by default, and you can override it with the button at the top. I've added a white vertical line to separate the two options section of the top bar because it was a bit confusing before with so many links. What happens is, so yeah, effectively the front page is identical in terms of content. It's just a little bit styled better. And like, for example, I've moved the text away from the buttons because they looked a bit strange when it was dark. And so now every page has been styled. So if you go to a good example page would just be, let's say the Kubeflow pipe. Let's actually go to getting started. Go to getting started and installing Kubeflow. Oh yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. So you can see this is what code looks like. So, and also someone's just asked in the chat, are you thinking about internationalization? I think that's what you were meaning, or is that what you were meaning? Sorry, type in the chat if that's what you were meaning. Okay, back to that. So effectively, the way that the coloring of the so I've used a accessibility. It is mostly accessible. If you find any accessible issues, please tell me. But it should be screen reader working and things like that. Anyway, okay, so the way that so effectively, if you now swap to light mode, and you'll see kind of get a feeling for how I've kind of tried to copy the feeling of the style between the two. So yeah, so it has a nice yeah, I mean the color contrast it does meet the like requirements of the lighthouse. Someone's asking about that, you know, but there might be if there's yeah, that's a so yeah, the lighthouse there. It does meet the contrast according to what I someone just said that. There you go. Okay, cool. Now, if there is particular concerns you have though, I tried a lot of different. And now, so there's one other type of thing as well, which is the tables. So if you go to like either getting started installing Kubeflow or releases. Also, yeah, we'll go back to the introduction in a second. But yeah, so tables kind of look like this, and then sometimes they look like this is on when there are special tables. And then if you go to releases on the left-hand side, and then just pick one at the very bottom, just pick any of them. So now non-special tables kind of look like this, where they get a gray header. And then if you go to getting started, architecture, and introduction, yeah, these ones. So I had to roll up to that. There's one see that big overview page, this overview ecosystem view. So this one's fine. So because the previous one did not have a border around it, I've changed this image slightly so that it has a border because it looked really bad on a dark background with no border. I'm not making a light mode version because I just couldn't figure out how to be compliant with the various logo requirements of those things down the bottom while being in dark mode. I just don't think it's possible. So I just tried to make them look okay. And so I also shrunk the width of the image as well. So yeah, I made like the framework tools like not horizontal anymore. I made them vertical. Other than that, that's just the only change I made to the actual content. Also, any images now recommend not using a border because previously the border added a white border, which made it look really bad. So if you change to light mode, you'll just see what I mean there. And then there's yeah, and then I think I'm trying to think, was there other things? No, I think that's fine. So if anyone's got any feedback right now, either please make it on the PR rather than here, or if you've just got some comments or questions, give me a shot, and then we'll move on if not.
This is awesome. Thank you, Matthew. This is so great. I think I had originally commented on the PR that I was gonna show interest in doing this, but I'm so happy because
it was
I'm
really complicated. I'll
well,
tell
yeah,
you that. Like effectively,
you know.
the way it works, just for people who are interested, is that because we use a modified version of the Doxy theme that uses an old version of Bootstrap that doesn't support theming, I had to render 2 full versions of the Doxy theme kind of automatically. It's kind of hard to explain how that works, but effectively I rendered one version with the dark mode and one version with light mode, but with a root selector on it, and then just changed the HTML's data tag to flip between them.
So thank you, Matthew. This is awesome, folks. Please feel free to like take a look, give feedback on the PR, just like Matthew said. The links are there. Awesome.
Cool.
So moving on to the agenda,
Looks great, Matthew. Thank you.
Moving on to the agenda, I think what I wanted to mention, and we've kind of tried it today, is just new proposed overall agenda to kind of structure this meeting a little bit more going forward, just so that we can make sure that we prioritize community updates as much as we can. I know that we have specific, component level meetings for every project and working group. And so I think it would be good for the community, I think, to give us high level updates, right? And, the leads to be able to kind of opine with some different things and give everybody to kind of an opportunity to highlight things that are exciting, worth showing. I think actually this website dark mode is a great example of something that's great to show, because I love doc updates, and I think this is just massively awesome. So thank you, Matthew. And other things that maybe newcomers might be excited about. And again, to Matthew's earlier point, cross component stuff that we can have, quick discussion on and then table for further discussion later. So this is kind of it. We'll continue to try this because I think this approach is probably reasonable. And then we can, adjust going forward. Valentina, I think you had some items that you wanted to quickly discuss.
Yeah, should speak about the website. Yes. Give me 1 second, 1 second. So I just wanted to do a quick update on the website. As you know, we are looking into doing some updates in order to maintain the health of the website. And we had 120 issues a couple of months ago. So we are working right now. I will I can share also just quickly. Can I share quickly? Just
Go ahead.
yeah. So just want to share that thanks everyone. Let me see. So thanks everyone for the efforts on working on the website. Let me see if I can, okay, check here. Okay, working on the website. So great news, we closed 70 issues. So some of them were like 12 PRs and resolving. A lot of them were just, not longer valid. So yeah, so thanks everyone who also contribute to this. But also we do have 12 issues right now that are looking for some help. So please, if you are looking into contribute, such as Matthew did an amazing job with dark mode and light mode. So that's something that you can do. There are other issues that are more easy to start working with as well. And right now we do have around 39 issues that I've been waiting. Sometimes they are being working on, or we are waiting on people to reply. So we continue keeping an eye on this. So the other thing I want to let you know, if you are new with the community and you are wondering where to start, we have amazing, documentation that can guide you, but also a good way is to look on good first issues and help wanted. So I think I wanted just to highlight that. A couple of things that are 2 PRs that are looking into improve best practices on the website by adding templates for issues and PRs. So I am linking those into the documentation. So please take a look. There is also in the issues a proposal to change how the issues are being work on. So from the pipelines working group, so take a look at that as well. I will add the link into the documentation. And I think that's all I have. So thank you. Thank you so much for contributing to the website. Thanks.
Awesome. I think as I mentioned the process, the one thing I didn't mention is that notes prepared ahead of time will be prioritized agenda items. So I know that I think historically we tend to update the meeting notes tactically during this meeting, and I think that's great because I definitely want to encourage people to continue to share their updates. I think we'll make sure to prioritize the agenda items that were already here, just so that things don't shift around too much. Cool. Just wanted to make sure I was explicit about that. Matthew, you shared the dark theme already. Awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted to highlight this one needs an approval from a root PR, assuming the model registry people are happy with the update. So I think they said they were last time. Did you have a meeting, model registry people?
So as mentioned, thank you very much again for proposing that, Matthew. I've already also shared this one into the model registry group, and I'm also sort of like reminding people that they can have a look. I've already replied some just my comments on that PR. So from my side it's ready, but I'm waiting if people are moving to provide their feedback or reviews over there. Thank you.
Yes, someone just also, yeah. Okay, so can we try and get feedback on it by next week so that we can update it? Because it updates also the underlying version of the Swagger generation. So I think I just want to get that update in for the other ones as well. But
yeah, I see your point. My suggestion here is that, as usual, as you may very well know, it takes
I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying trying.
It takes some iteration before some people also have eyes on it, because of course everybody's busy on different sites. To my, as I mentioned in the PR, for me it's good to go. I'm just trying to keep the door open for a few more days in case that people can have some additional looks on it. But thanks again, because it's much appreciated.
Cool.
sorry, someone just commented this as well, and I just want to highlight this to the community because there's a bit of discussion around this. I don't think we need to discuss it right now. I just want to highlight that people might have different opinions about whether we should put stars everywhere. Me and Andre already somewhat disagree, I think, so maybe we need more opinions.
Cool. I'll pick
yeah.
multi-tenancy section discussion.
So this is done actually. You can remove that. Sorry.
Okay, cool. And then also
so this one's already approved. Can someone with root approve it, please? Just let me just make sure it's not merge conflicted. I don't think it is.
All right, we'll take a look at that offline. And so Andre, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I think so.
Kelly, you can share your screen.
Yeah, I can give you a quick update. So last time I shared this initial doc for the community, right, to design and discuss the Kubeflow SDK for MLEs and data scientists, right? Thanks everyone for your comments. I think it was a great discussion there, and it's a lot of excitement I can see around this new user experience and how we can make Kubeflow easier to use. So I think, like, just to give an update, right? Let me share my screen. 1 second. Yeah, so I think we had many discussions what should be included in the first version of Kubeflow SDK, and just like to get everyone know, like we try to streamline the ML experience for data scientists and ML engineers so they can quickly train, optimize their models, quickly fine-tune them, serve them, and have everything in a single Python environment, so they don't need to deal with Kubernetes at all. And like I think like the goal that's like the long-term vision here, we try to see what kind of list of public APIs we want to provide for MLE to play with. So like there are different stages in ML lifecycle, and every API can address different part of this ML lifecycle. So like the thing is, like, because there are many kind of challenges associated with this, right? Like you need to make sure you know how to, for example, generate the features, export your model, build your pipeline, how you can do fine-tuning, training, model optimization, serving. So the thing is, like, what we have at this stage, we kind of like have done several evaluation with few MLAs around training. So we really know, like, in terms of ML training pipe, like workflow, what they want to do. And like we already have some sort of prototype under the like the individual sub projects, right? So we have SDK for Kubeflow training operator, which is right now the Kubeflow trainer, and also have an SDK for Kubeflow Katib, which right now we perform the hyperparameter optimization via the Tune API. So I think, like, what's after the discussion, my personal preference that we start one simple cap just to introduce the support for Kubeflow trainer and maybe Kubeflow optimizer / Kubeflow Katib. Like we can think about like whether we need to do this renaming and next API generation, and then try to see how we can expand the SDK to support pipelines, Feast, model registry, Spark operator. I also like saw some effort around, support Spark operator via like, batch processing gateway. So it allows you basically like, manage your Spark jobs across multi-cluster from the single, Jupyter notebook. And I think this is like a huge need to make the Spark operator, the Kubeflow Spark operator, work with Jupyter notebooks. And they probably will also use the Python SDK to kind of streamline this experience. So this probably also be part of this kind of GSOC initiative. So for me, I guess I think like all of this will require a separate cap and separate discussion on user experience. So like what kind of like, APIs we want to give to the end user. And then like, we can expand this project to support more, because this project will be extensible enough and flexible because user can use whatever packages they have under their, like under the SDK. So let me show you quickly one example. So yeah, the idea was to, on the Kubeflow package, we're going to have like multiple sub packages, like the client for pipelines, the client for trainer, the client for, like the other actions that user wants to do with the, ML lifecycle. Yeah, so any kind of, questions, comments we want to talk right now about the discussion?
So I think the one thing I'll say is that, Andre, thank you for kicking off this work. And I think I mentioned on the Red Hat side, we have like a lot of excitement about this. And I think this gives us a really, really powerful opportunity to create like a really great experience. I think a lot of what you see in the AI ML community that's getting a lot of excitement is products that develop a really great, end user experience. And for us, that is data scientists and machine learning engineers. And I think you know, taking small steps to get there, but with like a really broad vision, I think is how we can build a really incredible product and make sure that lots of users of Kubeflow and people that want to use Kubeflow get excited about the project. And so, you know, I love that we're being very focused initially, but also kind of ambitious with the kind of full scope of what we want it to be.
Yeah, just like to add this, like I guess like our goal is to keep this doc for kind of long-term vision, so we can, you know, gracefully update it and make sure, you know, like we can, you know, support other projects, introduce new APIs. But I think this, you know, this kind of like, you know, the high-level project can be, you know, like distributed across multiple, you know, enhancement proposals from us, so we can, you know, iterate. Yeah, so again, I think like we definitely need to have more, you know, like user conversation here, especially with, you know, data scientists and MLEs, like what they're doing, how we can simplify life for them, what is the role of Kubeflow there, right? And I would love to, you know, like maybe have some, you know, allocate some time to invite maybe them on this call and maybe propose this maybe for the working API. I think this was one of the idea from Chase, the good idea that Chase proposed last week. I will follow up with Ricardo and, you know, other folks to maybe talk about this in working API. But I want to talk more with end users about this feature, right? So we understand better the experience and what actually they're doing, right? Because some folks prefer CLI, like for example, they may be familiar with Slurm. Slurm uses CLI. So right now, like if you use PyTorch with Slurm, you kind of like use CLI to submit to PyTorch distributed. So this is slightly different. So this is like experience more like Ray, because in Ray you have this kind of Pythonic experience when you're basically, you know, like doing everything in Python and, you know, run this in distributed Ray environments when you want to do data preparation, training, tuning, or serving, right? Yeah, but again, looking for user, especially end users' opinion and, you know, suggestions here. Right. Any other questions before we move on? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. And also, as mentioned as well already in the docs, I think this is, I just echo what Francisco just summarized. To me, there are a couple of points that indeed I would like to sort of like highlight. First of all is that, and you were just talking about it, I think that one of the goals that I invite for this project to consider from the get-go is about some CLI bindings, because indeed, as you were just mentioning, Python makes this very easy, in my opinion, as well. And for people who sort of like a data scientist who may be more comfortable, or at least say vaguely comfortable with the command line, but sort of like intimidated by running kubectl commands, sort of like these will make it a bit easier for them to consume. So I see a benefit as well from a data scientist user persona. So there is a comment on that one on the upper goal, and I already commented there. For model registry, we have a Python client already, so we're very happy if we can consider either in this first cap or as a cap for plugin mechanism. Indeed, is like exposing and surfacing these type of clients through this SDK. I think it's going to be very important, either as sort of like an extra that sort of like it's passed through, or is like if you want to have a sort of like a smaller API things, then it means that we can write a provider so that people can write their own plugin mechanism to existing client. In this way, we avoid duplicating efforts of, say, a client to model registry in both sides. But again, I think this is fantastic because indeed it makes the consumption, the friction less for data scientists and MLOps engineer. Thank you.
Yeah, Matteo, what I would suggest is kind of like what Andre had outlined as the approach that we're going with is like, we'll continue to clean up this document over time, but we can create subcaps and use that as a way to kind of discuss, hey, this is how this could work. I think, you know, if I were in your shoes, I would probably stay abreast of the work that they're doing in Optimizer with this new SDK and see like, oh, how could we, you know, fit within model registries client, fit within this, and then, you know, just engage and you know, again, like a KEP would probably go far in outlining, hey, look, this is how this can really help with that experience. And love to hear that that's exciting to you all too. I have the same view for Feast.
Yeah, I think we need to also take a look at, Llama Stack, and I think like what you suggested in the doc, right? How they are organizing their, Python environment. I didn't get a
I
chance.
actually,
Yeah. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
and I actually took a much deeper look at Llama Stack the last few days, and so I'll actually start to prepare some notes, and I'll actually have
Okay.
like a useful opinion, and I'll update the doc accordingly.
Yeah. Yeah, because maybe we have like better options in terms of pluggability, right, of this library, right, and the framework, the client, the client APIs.
Yeah, yeah. No,
That makes
exactly.
sense. And I think like, it's kind of like, this on the KFP side, I think we're also really exciting to see how we can consolidate this kind of clients for KFP. And I think like this kind of like, connects to this discussion around, like the CRD based, pipelines that we've been working on, right? We have this, proposal in the pipeline side. So I think like we should, like there are a lot of things we should talk about. Let's slowly, talk about all this, integration points.
Yeah,
And
no, exactly. And it's gonna take a lot of time to iron it out fully, and
yeah.
I think like it's,
Yeah.
let's not let's not be delayed because we're too busy figuring out where the quick wins exist. We should absolutely take them. I think training and optimizing and Katib are two perfect examples. Registry does seem like a pretty good one. Pipelines is the hard one because we have a lot of old code that we have to figure out how to like backport into. So yeah, awesome.
So Andre, let's just confirm this isn't going to block you releasing your training V2 stuff, right?
Yeah, and we will create a new repo for this. So it will be a
Look-
new repo called Kubeflow/SDK, and we will maintain this two clients there initially.
What I'm saying is, but you're going to continue in your existing repo for now while we're discussing this, right?
Yeah, the control plane
Yeah,
is released separately from the, SDK releases. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, don't you already have a new SDK for your V2?
Yeah, it's right now sitting in the Kubeflow/trainer.
And it has a release, or it has no releases cut
It
yet?
hasn't released in PyPy, so we want to release in PyPy once we have this initial version of Kubeflow/SDK repository.
But you can still. What I'm wondering is like, should you just start with because this might take like an incredibly large amount of time to get a first release from. I'm just wondering if you should release a version with some other name, you know what I mean, and then eventually merge it in.
Yeah, like the problem is like we don't want to have it, right? Like we want to promote this experience as Francisco said, like from starting with small, just support maybe for trainer initially.
But like,
And then expand it for, optimizer/Katib, then support for other components as well, like pipelines.
Yeah.
I really want to see at least two completely separate components versioned at the same time, though, just because I think that that is going to be the biggest technical challenge, which is like,
Yeah,
how
but
do
I think
you...
it's so yeah, but it's been discussed in the cap, right? So we have a section on release lifecycle.
But what I'm saying is, I want to see your code released, right? I think like there's something to be said that if we think this is going to take 6 months, a year to get a combined SDK released, you've already made the project. Like you've already got an SDK that would help, that could have 6 months worth of development from users on it if you released it now. You know what I mean? As an alpha or beta, even like even if you.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I don't see. I mean, we already have working SDK. Like the only like remaining things, we just don't have repo for this, and we don't have the release branch for like 0.1 version, right, of this SDK. This is why we cannot release it to Pipe and we cannot maintain it. The synchronization part is kind of like described here. Like I didn't go into the details, but we know how to synchronize the control plane and the clients, right?
I mean, you could do what Kubeflow pipelines does, which is problematic maybe, but then add v0.1-SDK as the branch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We just don't want to do this. Like, if we can avoid it, right? Because we don't want to confuse people who are just consuming the control plane. Because
I know what I'm saying is that like I just want to see a release. That's what I'm trying to say of your SDK.
Yeah, but we will make. So the plan is to make. I mean, if community agree, we plan to make it release in the Kubeflow/SDK repo, right? The first
But
release.
that's my concern is that means that the SDK repo is just going to become your repo for the training operator.
I think it will start with our repo, right? But
Yeah,
it has like a long-term vision from our community, and we see interest like from Red Hat side, from our side, from our other folks. Yeah.
But like what I'm saying is, if you've already got a release, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to actually migrate people to probably what is going to be massively breaking changes. And it's like, we already have model registry.
I actually think now we're getting into probably too technical a discussion.
Yeah.
This is something that we do have an explicit section for in the KEP. And so Matthew, if you have thoughts there, opinions, would love to have that discussed there.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think
There's a branding question. I'm talking more about the branding. Like if the first release doesn't actually include anything but training operator, then it's a training operator package.
No, I think I'm actually super pro it being released ASAP. even if it's just a training operator, because like it's a start. I personally think progress is incremental and you know, n greater than 0 is progress. So
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to get, community, +1, -1 on this.
yeah,
And again, it's about like, as Francisco said, like, like short-term deliverables, like short-term goal, like, goals we can do. And we see like the huge need from an end users in here. Like, it's not like, something we doing without discussion with, with end users. Like similar with,
and
we've done a KubeCon, like after our talk where we presented the Kubeflow trainer, right? We have a lot of interest from end users. Like we have folks, from Toyota, from other, companies who reach out to us to speak about this ML experience.
Yeah.
Is
And
there a
it's
way
quite,
we could do plugins or something instead?
yeah, Amber.
yeah, this should be discussed there. Yeah, Amber,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Andre, I need to get about 10 minutes with you and figure out how we can get feedback from the community across our socials and point
Yeah.
them to this.
Yeah, let me prepare the cap, like the PR, and we can share the
Okay.
PR with broader community. For
Perfect.
this.
Once that's ready, will you just ping me and let me know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Andre. You had a couple other items as well.
Yeah. I think like I want to definitely talk about the renaming because I think this is affecting the existing synchronization, right? So we've done the renaming for. Let me share my screen. Yeah, you can just open it. So yeah, we actually renamed the repo from training operator to Kubeflow trainer. It's great. So I have a new project under the Kubeflow umbrella and Kubeflow ecosystem. So this will be maintained here. We will planning to release the first version of this project in the release 2.0 branch. I probably cannot give you the timeline right now, but it's long. Like once we implement the API plugin, I think we will be ready to release. I definitely hope we will do it before the KubeCon in April. So we can showcase storage distributed runtime plus API based runtimes, maybe in deep speed or MLX. So we need to see like what's going to work initially. But if you have any synchronization script, please take a look, or any kind of fork. You probably need to do renaming as well. We will continue to maintain training operator 1.9.0 on the release branch for at least a year and a half, as we discussed before. And like I think we're working on the migration document. So not all of the jobs right now have been supported. So we don't support, for example, XGBoost jobs, Pedal jobs, TensorFlow jobs, Jax jobs, right? But it's like we slowly try to like see what user actually wants, and then like slowly migrate them to the new version of Kubeflow trainer. Any questions?
Awesome. This is great, and I'm sorry I left that comment because there's just such a big discussion about it. So, but I think this is great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think like I just want to say if you want to similar to notebooks in Kubeflow trainer is a big upgrade for training operator is like the new kind of the second like the our next project in this area, right? So if you want to be involved, please join a community call. I think we're planning to have really exciting discussion with the Torch Tune community around this LLM trainers, because I think like as we discussed, one of the goals for us to provide the LLM blueprints for fine tuning. So maybe like, as the easy and most straightforward approach for us to just reuse the Torch Tune CLI and their recipes for fine tuning. So I hope, I cannot guarantee it right now, but I hope we can build a strong, relationship with this community. So similar to like how they advocate for using Slurm for multi-node training, they can advocate Kubeflow for like Kubernetes-based fine tuning. Which is great, I think, because there is not a lot of adoption for using Kubernetes for large scale training and fine tuning. So I think that this is a huge opportunity for us as a community to build this relationship, right? Similar to how previously I think we built this relationship when we like discuss about Torch Elastic, how Torch Run was introduced, then I think Torch X. So all of these connections we've done before. I hope we can continue this in this new kind of Gen AI era, right? Moving forward. So yeah, definitely join us. Our call. Next call is next Wednesday at 5 p.m. UTC. Looking forward to all this. Any questions for the? Yeah.
I want to see a case study published about like someone who migrated from Slurm. You know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We should, yeah, we should. I don't know if we didn't migrate from Slurm. We actually migrated from Kubernetes to KFTO.
That's a valid migration as well. That's yeah.
Yeah, I think that the problem is like in general, Kubernetes is not yet ready for, you know, like kind of large scale training. This is the problem.
To be clear,
right?
there are different,
Like,
the big OpenAI labs are using it. They're just not talking about it publicly.
so
Actually,
OpenAI,
IBM
yeah,
Research is.
Yeah.
They've trained all their Granite models with the Kubeflow training operator.
yeah, we need definitely, again, I think we discussed this a lot before. I think we need more kind of exposure and case studies from, you know, large organizations, because we kind of like rely on this, you know, Torch ecosystem. And like the question is like, is the Kubernetes the right platform for do this, you know, large scale Gen AI training, right? And I think the answer is yes for the long term, given like how, you know, like where Kubernetes moving towards to, right? But this is not, yeah.
Yeah, Andre, let's follow up that one.
Yeah.
That one I can get that I can do. So cool. All right, yeah, that's very straightforward.
If just for people watching, if you are training large scale models on Kubernetes, if you're using training operator or anything else, I guess reach out to Andre and so then just have a discussion, because we want to make it so that training operator works for that use case so that Kubernetes does work. There are some constraints, like technical constraints, that make it challenging on Kubernetes, but Slurm is really very basic when compared to Kubernetes. So I feel like Kubernetes could at some point take over anything that's necessary for that. But there is still problems like VMs and stuff, like where they're doing kubevert based jobs might make it. Yeah.
So I think the next item I can go over briefly, but then I do want to hand it over to Ramesh to talk about GSOC. So again, donation of Feast. I actually didn't share this link before. I should have. This is the document. I linked this into the GitHub issue. I wanted to actually explicitly link it so people were aware of it. I provided some stars, forks, summary. I had some additional details, some star history, and some contributor history, maintainers, and other things. And I really encourage people to share their feedback. You know, we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback so far, but I also want people to feel empowered to share concerns that they have. You know, because I don't want people to think that you know, that there's the option not to accept fees. Like fees can, you know, still exist as its own community. I think obviously, as I authored, there are a lot of benefits, but I do want the community to feel empowered to share what their concerns are, what challenges they might want to see addressed coming in. Yeah, so please feel free to comment, or if you don't feel comfortable commenting, please, you know, message one of the steering committee members, and they can share the feedback to me as well. Really appreciate everybody's engagement so far and support. So thank you very much. Ramesh, did you want?
Can you just quickly, can you give us just like the 2-second overview of like why, like explain why it benefits both of us to join?
Oh yeah. Okay, and
Just
I
like
outlined.
the 1 or 2 sentences, just like that.
Yeah, the short version is there's Feast is a long history in Kubeflow already. It is that data layer to complement the rest of it in order to go from model development to model serving. And model serving requires feature serving. Feast fills that gap. And that's what's been its place as an add-on in history, and making this explicit, I think, is what's the main benefit as well.
So why does Feast feel that they would be better suited in Kubeflow's governance and release kind of stuff rather than just living as their own project, out of interest?
I think me as the primary maintainer of Feast, but we do have quite a number of other maintainers and committers, and I added the statistics in the document. I think the biggest reason is like us trying to continue to maintain our own community when I just don't think that's the, like, candidly, I think it's actually better to offer a full platform and not just one component of a platform. In my experience, building systems and building models and deploying models at different organizations, I've spent most of my time in the data component in order to serve those models. That's how I ended up maintaining Feast. But and so I've spent 90% of my job on that. but I think a full platform, I think it's best fit in an entire platform rather than maintain on its own. I think having a full comprehensive platform and integrated into Kubeflow offers us a better product, really, is for both sides, technically.
I don't want to get too technical. I just want to ask one question though, just because I want to hear your response. Is Feast definitely is not tied to Kubernetes in the same way that every other component of Kubeflow is?
Yeah.
Is that what is the plan? Like, is the plan to make Kubernetes the de facto way of deploying Feast, or is it something else? Or are you
There's a
still planning
hybrid
to?
there. I think so. Pipelines is one example where it's backed by a database in some cases, and Matthew Pearl has outlined one way to make like the creation of pipeline runs native in etcd. And I think like there are components that we can actually move to make Feast more Kubernetes native. We're actually launching an operator on how you manage the lifecycle of Feast and deploy it. I don't think there's like a degree to which some things won't be Kubernetes native for Feast, right? Like particularly the database, like you need a database, and the back end of Spark for offline processing, you need Spark on Kubernetes. But there are some components where it makes sense and it could benefit from it. But a lot of it is about deploying and maintaining an application on Kubernetes, and that's managing that infrastructure is challenging in its own right, and that's best done resiliently through Kubernetes. If that makes sense. And the concrete example of my last role at a firm where we managed Feast on Kubernetes, it just allowed us to scale for like Amazon checkouts, flows, and manage the QPS that we had for it. This is really it.
I think like I just want to add one thing. This is great, Francisco. I definitely will take a look again on the proposal. I think we definitely need to talk more about this sometime on steering committee calls. I think like one discussion that we might have where we can interview the end users, for Feast.
Yeah.
And similar to any other projects that want to join Kubeflow Foundation, with Scale, Trust AI, or any other projects, right, that we talk about. Because I think without the sustainable end user base, it will be hard for maintainers to continue to, move this project forward, right? Similar to like, why Spark Operator right now is being maintained, because many organizations use this in production, and we see that even they don't really contribute to the, integration between Kubeflow components, but they still kind of maintain it under as individual, sub-project, because many organizations rely on Spark, on Kubernetes, right? So yeah, this is like one of the ideas could be to have some sort of interviews and discussions, with end users.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that was something that we discussed, and I'm happy to facilitate them.
Yeah, since maybe Johnny, you're also here, do you want to add your comments, like what should be the next steps here, from your perspective?
It looks good. I don't. So I think we discussed briefly in the steering committee, right? I think we'll take it from there. I have a few points there, but otherwise, like overall, the proposal wise, like I'm good there.
Awesome. Okay, so Matthew and Ramesh, I don't know if I see Ramesh on the call.
He's on leave. We've got a problem, which is that technically the deadline is like this week for us. So the thing is, he can do the application, but we need to have our I think we might have already applied. I don't know the actual technical term of what
I believe he did apply. I thought we were.
We just need to update our
project.
website with project ideas. And now the problem is that as soon as we do that, students are going to start contacting us about those ideas. And so we need to, like, they're not technically meant to yet, but like they will, So we do need to think about what actually we are going to do as projects. We can obviously change them, but we need to kind of do that sooner rather than later so that it's clear for students who are applying. I know that there's, like, on my side, there's a lot of challenge of committing to mentoring for quite a few months. It is a lot of work. Just as I've done it last year, it is a lot of work, but you do get some benefit out of it as long as it's you define your project well. That's kind of the most important thing. So there's some discussions on that issue around projects. If nothing new happens, I guess we can try and get some confirmation about which projects we want. So maybe we need to kind of go through each working group at some point. Let's need to do it like, we really need a representative from each working group to say whether you have a project or like, it's not, it's individuals. It isn't working groups technically. Like, you know, you're a mentor individually. You're not a mentor as a working group.
Right.
But, you know,
I
are every component that we want represented? That's kind of what I'm saying.
I also want to make a kind of comment. I don't know if Stefano or Eder on the call, I don't see them, but like I would be really, you know, cautious about things that we don't really agree on. For example, like I saw Stefano propose the work for Kale and for Jupyter, you know, IDEA working group, or we can call it IDEA working group, right? We haven't made a decision yet, like whether this working group will exist. So not sure if what other things, but we really need to consider this should be very small kind of effort projects. So the good project idea, like what Julius I think proposed, right? You know, splitting the repo, or I think enhancing the security, right? If I remember correctly, it was the project around like the rootless, right? So the things that we kind of like don't need to find agreements on, and just can, you know, student can just, you know, plug in and move forward. Because for us, like as training and Ultima working group, the most successful project was like the one that don't really require a lot of design discussions and, you know, community agreement. So student can just, you know, go to start working on something and deliver something to the community, right? So I don't know what others think, but just to keep in mind that, as Matthew said, that we need to keep in mind this is a student maybe without any experience of Go or Kubernetes, right? And
Yeah.
it should be something they can, you know, contribute to and see actually the effort in September, the real kind of, you know, work, the outcome of their work, right?
Yeah, +1. I think like, you know, us calibrating our expectations towards a fresh grad and, you know, or someone still in college, like making sure that they feel like they had a really great rewarding experience within a reasonably small timeline, I guess, where they're going to be spending probably 60 to 70% learning and then 30% contributing.
Yeah.
I think is important.
I mean, given enough screening of the candidates, you can reduce that time, but still, I'm also in favor of that. We need to have ideas and projects that have a direct, simple benefit.
I think just more generally, I think that also helps like facilitate more engagement from the community as well. And maybe that's like a broader statement of how we like outline some of our GitHub issues, like, hey, look, how can we chunk down work so that folks can jump in where they want.
So the main thing we need to find is people who are willing to spend the summer once a week mentoring a student, right? So like, so the like projects aside, like projects are not the core thing. We need people who are going to commit to being like, yeah, I'm open to sharing my experience and contributor knowledge with a student where you will get to interview them beforehand. You don't have to accept anyone if no one acceptable applies. But like, so if Julius, you obviously have expressed that you want to do a mentoring again, if I'm correct, is that right?
And I want you to comment if possible. Yeah.
I know. But what I'm saying is like, I'm still like on the fence as to whether I want to do it. But again, I might be more willing to if we get the right application, right? And that's the whole idea. We have to think of a project then. So me and Julius aside, who else is, Andre, are you wanting to do mentoring again, or are you wanting to take not this
Yeah,
year?
well, actually, for us, it's actually a good kind of, you know, good story because our student wants to be a mentor.
Okay, cool.
For the next GSOC student. So
So
Xiao
you
will,
wanting to though?
so Xiao probably will be one of the, you know, represent like one of the mentors from our side. And also I think we want to start discussion whether we want to have another project for us. And someone from our side can mentor them. Yeah, but we already have one of the, one of the person who will volunteer. I think two of them, right? I think Magdi, you also like I think volunteering to help, right, with mentoring.
So once we get the like kind of people who are willing to actually mentor, then we should list projects find the project that you're most interested in mentoring, and then because I need to put your name on the website beside it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to, but I would think it's a good idea. It's what we usually have to do. So like, if you're willing to mentor Andre and other people, so like, then what project are you willing to mentor? You know, and then we put that on the website under a project. And again, the student can change the project, we can change the project, but it just lets people see, oh, I want to apply to that Kubeflow, but what am I applying to? I'm applying to project 3, you know, and that's about training operator something, you know.
Yeah. So the deadline is this Thursday, right? We need to
So
find
we
out
just need to
tonight.
have something on the website by then, you know, like, so we can add more projects way before then, way after then, but right now we've got no projects right listed. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, we also have like this candidate from Spark Operator who also want to mentor the students.
Okay, cool. So can we list this list of people so that I can reach out to you guys and get confirmation?
Yeah,
that
we need.
before I
Yeah,
put your thing?
let's talk on the issue once we finalize this. You know, few topics there. If that makes sense. Yeah, then we can update the website.
Also, I wouldn't, I don't know what the process is, but I think like, I think it's probably okay for them to also write a cap, a small one for it. I think that's part of a good learning experience as a general statement. And we can kind of coach people through it. So we shouldn't necessarily shy away with that, even if it's like a medium or small feature.
What are you talking about? Sorry, I'm just confused.
Yeah, writing this is what we've done. Writing the proposal, asking student to write the proposal first.
Okay.
Then like maybe around like, you know, June to July timeframe, we kind of agree on the proposal, and then they coding in August, September, and
So
October.
they are allowed to submit a proposal.
This is what we've done for training and KD
That's
Parade.
fine. So then if you're doing that, then put that as a, like, just explicitly put that as a project idea and then give them some pointers, because otherwise you'll end up with crazy things that are never going to be accepted. So like,
Yeah, so I think what Francisco said, like it could be part of, you know, like the process, like for them, right? You know, like for example, it could be one of the feature they can deliver, but as part of this feature, they need to write the cap, they need to get a you know, agreement on the design, right? And then they can do coding to resolve this cap, right?
but you would still be, you'd define the project though, not them.
Yes, I mean,
yeah, okay.
we should, yes, like
correct.
yes, yeah, good.
So all I'm saying is I just need a very one sentence description at least to put on the website. So it's like, even if it's like projects that might relate to training operator doing this or whatever, it doesn't have to be very specific initially, just so that they get like, oh, that person is willing to mentor me if I apply and get accepted, obviously. You know, that's what they're thinking. And so that's all I want to put, like, you know, Andre and Mahed, whoever else are willing to mentor in this area. And then even if you don't put specifics, that's all we really need. So
Why we just don't want to do what, like, similar to what we've done in 2024, right?
well, that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was
right.
much more specific. Those projects were very specific. And I think we did remove some possibility for ideas from the community, but I think the likelihood that we should just be a bit more prescriptive is probably high. We should probably do that, but yeah.
Cool. Okay. Students and mentors, you can probably put, I mean, I made one for fees separately. I don't know how we want to do that, and timing, my guess is that that might not work out, but I'm also happy to be a mentor. You know, yeah. But I think that's it for today then, unless people had other items they
We
wanted
should
to
probably do the
discuss.
release thing, right?
Oh yes, the release update. Let's do that now. Sorry,
For 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, all good, all good. So just to clarify, we have got RC0. We talked about this last week. Right now, we are looking into cutting RC1 this Monday. So what it means is we need all the working groups to have the release ready on the 16th of February. So that is Sunday. But yeah, we will be working with Julius on doing the new RC1. So RC2 will only be created if we found like critical bugs and needs to be fixed to be part of the release. So just keep that in mind if you are waiting for PRs to be merged or anything. So those needs to be resolved this week.
So when we have cut an RC already, RC0. When is cutting RC2 happening? Sorry.
RC1.
Sorry, one.
This next Monday.
Next Monday. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I had a PR from Intel about updating their images as well, so I need to check that.
Yeah, let me paste that in the chat as well. I had a slide, but since we are running out of time.
Does it mean you have a release, or are you talking about the first release candidate RC0 in Kubeflow/manifest?
Me?
Because I didn't know about the release from Kubeflow notebooks.
Oh yeah, so I mean, Kimonos was going to cut it, and I think he's made a PR to cut something. The only thing that I wanted to get in that I've just had so little time to get done is the notebook-based images, but those are pretty straightforward to update. So, we might end up cutting an RC, another one from that, but yeah. I think Kimonos did message me today that he's cut the branch.
Keep us posted. Just, you know, we cannot, as you know, we have moved the dates to be flexible and include, you know, the components from different teams. So, but at this time, this will be the last date for do the RC one. With that, I think we are still on plan to have the release done as we was planned. I'm sharing the URL here on the chat if someone wants to look into more dates and what's next.
Just to confirm for Julius, it looks like we will cut an RC0, and I might even cut an RC1 tomorrow as well with those new images from Intel.
Yeah, I think I will just check whether there is a release or branch that can already synchronize.
There is one, but it's not been, you can't use it yet because the tags aren't cut from that branch.
Okay.
But the PR to cut them is open. It's open. It's just.
Yeah, just ping me as soon as it's done.
Yep.
There are any questions?
Oh, damn it.
Just maybe quickly on overtime. So Julius, thank you for your PR for Katib. Do you think I can cut it this week, or we need more time for you to test it? The customized 5 warnings that you updated.
I hope I get to it. If not, I have to delay it from follow-up RCs or 1.10.1.
Yeah, all right. In that case, yeah, you don't need really tag, right? You just need to have a commit to fix it. This is not the bug, right? Just the warnings, right? From my understanding.
Yes, just the customized warning.
From
We
your,
have some
yeah, from your
components
perspective,
moving
yeah,
in.
yeah. Should we cut an RC before actually we do this? We can,
Yeah,
right?
I think. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. Yeah, then I think I can release it today or tomorrow, and then we can synchronize this, the manifest.
Okay, I just realized there's a problem with this PR.
Okay, so I think we're good. I think, right, unless anybody has anything else we want to discuss here in the last -3 minutes. Cool. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your time. See you around. See you around.